Chapter 1D Tenebra. The night was almost at its end. The storm raged with power, fueled by the energy of the wee one's impending birth. Such was the way of every lunar prodigy birth. Light faded in and out from the fire burning just inside the poor, run-down dwelling. It was a wonder anybody lived in such a place. Definitely not suitable for an infant of such power. As I neared the door, a surge of desire flooded my entire body. I could feel my fingertips tingle with excitement. Too long have the gods been denied a family, the innocence of a child's unconditional love. The child's destiny would change this night. Drawing nearer, I could hear the mother moaning from the pains of labor, her stifled screams of anguish as her pain came and went. The thick glass on the door was cold and wet. Even on a clear day, it would be impossible to make out the scenes on the other side. There I stood at the doorway to a new beginning, with such wonder lying just on the other side. I felt momentarily unable to progress further. A feeling was building inside of me that I just could not comprehend. My chest was beating from the inside out, and all I could think was that my baby would arrive at last. I took hold of the knob and let myself in. The air was cool, the fire running on its last reserves. A woman lay on the ground in the middle of the room upon rugs, pillows, and blankets. The cool air was of little help to her. Her hair clung to her skin in a sweaty tangle. Her gown was saturated in her own fluids. She lay there, propped up with blankets behind her back, biting down the pain. It was beautiful to witness such a moment, when life itself is born of another life. When the gods mate, only the essence of a soul is released in the form of energy. It is then carried down to aether, set on its predetermined path, and forming life out of the elements around it. To behold the birth of my child in such an archaic manner drained the color in my skin. Sounds were fading deep into the beyond, and my head was feeling clouded. Such was the euphoria that I had forgotten to breathe and was forced to inhale deeply, releasing it with a sigh of contentment. Just then a girl emerged, carrying a pail of water. She looked to be about 13 and ill-equipped to handle the stresses of birth. However, I could see in her a determination to take care of the woman, who must certainly be her mother. She wobbled as she walked, fanning herself and breathing erratically. This last could barely sustain her own gravity, let alone help bring a baby into the world. Neither the baby nor the mother could make it through childbirth, with this girl a breath away from exhaustion. Her eyes raked over me as she strode past. It took a full 2 seconds for her brain to register my presence. She halted her progression and turned to greet me, momentarily oblivious to my true nature. She looked relieved to have the company, no doubt expecting a house call. However, in my mortal body, I must have been a sight. Moonlight was gathering around my wrists, waiting to be harnessed. My gown was shifting about with the energy of the night, with eyes that reflected the illumination of the moon. The girl collapsed to the floor, apparently finding it difficult to take in air. "Young one, you have done well to tend to your mother. It is time to rest now. The child comes," I soothed. As I spoke to the girl, I could feel her slipping out of consciousness, her troubles seemingly catching up to her. The mother's eyes snapped open at the sound of my voice. "Alira," she called, worried at the slump on the floor that was her daughter. "What have you done to my daughter, mistress of the night?" "You are brave to address me so plainly, Mortalis. But fear not for your daughter. She sleeps from her own afflictions, not I." "Have you no one to rear this child for you?" I inquired. The mother let out an aggressive wail, no longer biting back the pain. She was strong, but no longer concerned with feigning ease now that Alira was unconscious. Picking up the pail, I went to tend to the woman. The water had all gone during the collapse of the girl, but that wasn't a problem. Reaching inward, I called to Lakis, god of water, to cast out his element. Water came pouring out of my hand as if from a tap. When it was full, I closed my thoughts and pulled back my hands. The woman set herself to controlling her breathing before turning to address me again. "I've sent help," she muttered, unable to get up the energy for much else. "They will be back soon." "Ah!" she screamed as another wave hit her. "Do not speak. You must only push. The child is ready." Indeed, the child could be seen ready to emerge, but instead of the head, it was a little foot trying to escape. "Push," I ordered. Her face was as dark as beets as she bared down, squeezing with all her might, the sweat beating down her brow as she attempted to breathe in. I could hold half of the child in my hands already, so warm and small. "It is a boy, a wonderful son," I announced. "But you must push again, and it is going to be very painful." The baby was not in a good way, having his arms at difficult angles. I tried to turn the baby from outside, attempting to reposition his arms, but I was without luck. I feared that he would not make it. I could not let that happen, even if it meant sacrificing the Mortalis woman. I knew all too well what she carried inside her, however. Sacrificing the mother at this time was detrimental to all. So again, an attempt to turn the child was made. Without the proper tools, it was impossible to pull the boy free. I would need to call upon my powers to assist in his delivery. Calling once more upon Lakis, I drew out his water, letting it find its way into the mother's womb. It swaddled the child from his tiny little toes to his fingertips, hidden within. The aqua god's water spun the boy, releasing him from the mother's womb. The baby was so beautiful. I wept tears I never knew existed. No truer happiness had I ever experienced before today. Lakis's water already expelled the blood and filth from the little angel. He was fair-skinned and dark-haired. His breathing came unassisted, possibly the benefit of harnessing the air goddess Priscilla's power within. He would eventually be able to master both air and aqua powers, but he could not let his destiny manifest. "Alistair," the mother called, snapping my thoughts back. "My boy, how is he?" "Alistair," I mused. A regal name for a regal child. "The boy is fine, though he will be coming with me." "No, don't try to fight me, woman," I insisted as she attempted to reach for Alistair. "He is as much my son as he is yours. The time will come when your daughter too is called for. Such is the way of the prodigies. They always come in pairs, one boy and one girl, born on the rift of night and day. The prodigies have a long and lonely destiny before them, one that I hope to save them from. You must not speak of my presence here, nor of Alistair, or his destiny may catch up to him." The woman was burdened with an abundance of information. She tried to shake away my words. "You can't. I can't," was all that she could muster. Her eyes beseeched me for the child as she stretched out her arms. "I'm sorry," I said, turning my face away. Then I cut the cord that bonded mother to child, wrapped him in the folds of my cloak, and left the woman crying after me.